Gilgaboo, Gilgaboo, Gilgaboo.
Gilgaboo the jarrow as faljarrow gus Goll as Gaccan.
Goll as Gaccan, brought to you by the Gaelic Broadcasting Committee.
And that was, of course, La Bamba from Los Lobos. Well, this on the programme today, we're going to hear various bits of recordings. Two sources. Pod Clay, which is the Manx play group that Munjavega runs. Three of them they run, actually. One in St John's, one in Aubrey, and the other one in Ramsey. And if you go to Munjavega's website, munjavega.im, you'll find everything there. But if, we're going to hear about Pod Clay, and we're also going to hear an interview from new podcaster Andrew Newton, who has started producing short videos about interesting historical cases in Manx Law. But we'll start off with the interview with Pod Clay. Talking to Lisa Leo, and you're working for Munjavega. What is it you do?
So I'm working to develop the Pod Clay, which is Manx for playgroups. So we have 3 Pos and Cloy at the moment. We've got St John's, Ramsey, and in the south we're currently at Arbury.
And what is Pos and Cloy? What do you do there?
So it's basically a tots group. So parents, grandparents, childminders bring their children. So it's children who are usually under school age, so babes in arms right up to 4 years old. So they come to our groups, we have toys, they play with the toys, socialise with each other. We have lovely snack time together where we all sit down and have fruit and toast, and grown-ups get hot drinks. So they get a chance to socialise as well with each other. And then we have a lovely craft activity, and we try to get some Manx words in during the craft activity, as well as songs.
And what sort of songs are you singing?
So we use the Roy McGeart songs, which are wonderful Manx children's songs, which we use with actions to help the children to remember the words. So there's actually quite a lot of really useful Manx phrases in the songs, but the children enjoy them. They don't realise that they're learning the language, and also the grown-ups as well. They're picking those songs up and the Manx words.
And we've heard some examples of that already, and we'll hear more. It is great that it's not just the children that are getting something out of this, isn't it?
That's right, yeah. The grown-ups come back and they say, "Oh, I've been singing that song, it stayed in my head," and they really are sort of learning lots of really good Manx phrases. And the Roy McGeart songs are available to them outside of the groups as well. We can download the app freely, and it's available on the internet.
And whereabouts would you find that?
So you can download the app in the App Store, and also if you go onto our website, Moonjavega website, there is access to the Roy McGeart songs on there.
And Roy McGeart, just you'll correct me, R-O-I-E is the first word, Roy,
yeah.
And then McGeart, M-Y-G-E-A-Y-R-T. So R-O-I-E is for Roy, and then McGeart, M-Y-G-E-A-Y-R-T, and that is, of course, running around, which is often what happens when you're singing these wonderful songs.
Absolutely.
So that was the first of the, several parts of interview that we're going to hear from Pos and Cloy, the Moonjavega's Parents and Tots group. And next we'll hear Killa Queen by Queen, and then Mora Ní Bretnach, who is going to sing about, now what's it called? I'm not sure the name of it. Gaelg na Connell.
She keeps a Moet Chandon in a pretty cabinet. Bethany cake, she says, just like Marie Antoinette. A building remedy for Khrushchev and Kennedy. At any time, an invitation you can't decline. Caviar and cigarettes, well versed in etiquette, extraordinarily nice. She's a killer queen, gunpowder gelatine, dynamite with a laser beam, guaranteed to blow your mind. Recommended at the price, insatiable and appetite. Wanna try? To avoid complications, she never kept the same address. In conversation, she spoke just like a baroness. Middleman from China went down to gauge your mind. Then again, incidentally, you're that way. Perfume came naturally from Paris, because she couldn't care less, fastidious and precise. She's a killer queen, gunpowder gelatine, dynamite with a laser beam, guaranteed to blow your mind. playful as the pussycat, momentarily out of action, temporarily out of gas. You're absolutely dry. She's out to get you. She's a killer queen, gunpowder gelatine, dynamite with a laser beam, guaranteed to blow your mind. Ooh, recommended at the price, insatiable and appetite. Wanna try?
Guller's Gaccan, brought to you by the Gaelic Broadcasting Committee.
So we're going to hear now from the first part of the interview I did with Andrew Newton about his very interesting, I think, podcast about interesting old cases of Manx Law. You have a podcast out which is, I would say, quite a niche area. You've certainly captured the market on podcasts about Manx Law.
Thank you, Phil Gurmayad. Yeah, absolutely. So the podcast is called YouTube channel. It's where I've hosted it, but podcast is called Lay Maninac. So Manx Gaelic for Manx Law, and it's really trying to an opportunity to explore the kind of rich and unique history of Isle of Man law and the constitution of the Isle of Man. So I guess from an aspect, there's a bit of Isle of Man political history, constitutional history, and legal history covered in there.
And lay would be pronounced spelt Leigh. So if you look up Leigh, there won't be many channels on YouTube with Leigh in, you wouldn't have thought.
Exactly, and hopefully the more followers I get, the easier it would be to find. So Leigh Mananac, if I've pronounced it correctly, Leigh and then Aninigh. Hopefully I've done that right, sorry.
Something like that anyway. Yes, and you've started off the series, which I presume it's a series, or it's going to be a series, with the case between Calcutt and Stevenson. So tell us a little bit about that, because it was quite fascinating to find out. I mean, the family names are well known, certainly in the south of the island, but it's just interesting to find out more about the fight that they had.
Yeah, that's right. So yeah, I've got 2 videos hosted on the channel at the moment. Just an introductory video, and then the first proper video is about the case Calcutt versus Stevenson, and the subtitle is "The End of No Win No Fee," which is in relation to no win no fee agreements under Isle of Man law. And the case is a very interesting case because it brought together 2 kind of, you might say, famous names in Manx political constitutional history, the Calcutt name and the Stevenson name, and people might be aware of the Stevenson family who lived in Balladule. The Calcutt family they might have heard about in relation to events like the trial of William Christian, Illiam Doan, and Calcutt was involved with that, and there was many Calcutts and Stevensons who were MHKs and leaders in the military and judges, teamsters, so high-profile families, and there's the case that I talk about in the first video is about a land dispute in the 1700s, 1740s, and why that case is interesting, why I've taken the time to produce a video on it, explaining the history around it and the background to it, and was because it had an interesting point of law which might be more relevant to kind of niche land lawyers around the concept of entails, which is people might be aware of the Jane Austen book Pride and Prejudice. That whole book was about the idea of entails as in a family home not being inherited by the daughters of Mr. Bennet, but being passed to his cousin because it was subject to an entail that was going to direct it to a male heir and not to the daughters. So the case was whether entails were legal in Isle of Man law. So it was interesting for land lawyers for that reason, but why it's maybe more relevant to people today is because as a result of that case, which at the time caused a lot of disruption for the House of Keys and for the Lord of Man, the second Duke of Atholl at the time, is because the claimant in the case, an Arthur Calcutt, he was being represented by a lawyer on a no-win no-fee agreement, and because of that, and because he progressed his case and then he appealed his case, and there was lots of disruption over a 2 to 3 year period, that after that case had ended and he'd lost his case, the House of Keys and the Lord of Man decided to introduce a law that banned no-win no-fee agreements. So at that point, then afterwards, and for the next 230 years, those no-win no-fee agreements couldn't be used in Isle of Man law or were prohibited. Generally, I say generally because there was a period between 1750 and 1777 when they might have been legal, because the first law was only in force for 3 years. It had a sunset clause, I think they call it, so it ended after 3 years. But then they reintroduced the law in 1777, and then that was the law until 1976 when Tynwald got rid of the law.
And that was Andrew Newton. Next, practical arrangement. I think it's called that. Practical arrangement by Sting, which I thought was rather good.
Am I asking for the moon? Is it really so implausible that you and I could soon come to some kind of arrangement? I'm not asking for the moon. I've always been a realist when it's really nothing more than a simple rearrangement with one roof above our heads, a warm house to return to. We could start with separate beds. I could sleep alone or learn to. I'm not suggesting that we'd find some earthly paradise forever. I mean, how often does that happen now? The answer's probably never. But we could come to an arrangement, a practical arrangement, and you could learn to love me, given time. I'm not promising the moon, I'm not promising a rainbow, just a practical solution to a solitary life. I'd be a father to your boy, a shoulder you could lean on. How bad could it be to be my wife, with one roof above our heads, a warm house to return to? You wouldn't have to cook for me, you wouldn't have to learn to. I'm not suggesting that this proposition here could last forever. I've no intention of deceiving you. You're far too clever. But we could come to an arrangement, a practical arrangement, and perhaps you'd learn to love me, given time. It may not be the romance that you had in mind, but you could learn to love me, given
And that was Sting there. Next, the next part of our interview with Pothen Clay.
Children absolutely love the songs, and as I say, the grown-ups do as well, so they're perennial favourites. And this has been published now, they've been out for 26 years.
And you're doing more than just turning up to these groups and supporting the parents and the children. What other things do you do?
Well, my role as well as supporting the groups, actually at the groups, is to develop the content of the groups. So we're making sure that we've got a consistent curriculum throughout all of the groups, and making sure that we've got the cultural Manx references throughout the year. So we'll make sure that we're covering key cultural dates in the Manx calendar.
And working with other officers in Munjavega to make resources too.
That's right, yeah. So we've got a dedicated resources officer who supports Pothen Clay, the Munjavega Nursery, and also Goll. She develops resources for them too. And then we've got our community development officer, and his role is to really publicise and promote the work of the charity.
And you're not a fluent Manx speaker, but you have acquired a lot of Manx.
Absolutely. I'm picking Manx up, and I like to say to the grown-ups that attend the groups, I'm learning with them. So we're all learning together, and that's the great thing about it, is that you can learn through doing simple phrases and using the songs. You can actually learn quite a lot of Manx and remember it. So, it's a foundation really to build upon, and that's what we hope to give the children, is that they've got the love of learning Manx, love of learning a language, and they'll go on to build on that as they go to school.
And whilst not a fluent Manx speaker yet, you are a multilingualist, so I guess you understand why learning languages at an early age is important.
Yeah, the importance of language really can't be underestimated in terms of the neural development, the neural pathways just learning a language creates. It's really important, and it sets children up for that love of language generally in life. So I think it's a great life skill to have.
And now for two bits of music. We'll hear first from the Cooish, who are going to sing about summer sunshine. I'm afraid there's not so much of that around these days. And then Bob Dylan is going to sing Subterranean Homesick Blues.
Everyone's changing, I stay the same. I'm the solo cello outside a chorus. I've got a secret, it's time for me to tell it. You've been keeping me warm. To sweet beginnings and bitter endings. In Coffee City, we borrowed heaven. Don't give it back, I've never felt so wanted. Are you taking me home? You tell me you have to go. The heat of summer sunshine, I miss you like nobody else. In the heat of summer sunshine, I'll kiss you, and nobody needs to know. Now that you've left me, there's no returning. I keep comparing, you're always winning. I try to be strong, but you'll never be more wanted. Will you make me at home? Don't tell me you have to go. In the heat of summer sunshine, I miss you like nobody else. In the heat of summer sunshine, I'll kiss you, and nobody needs to know. To sweet beginnings and bitter endings. In Coffee City, we borrowed heaven. Don't give it back. Winter is coming, and I need to stay warm. In the heat of summer sunshine, I miss you like nobody else. In the heat of summer sunshine, I kiss you and nobody knows. In the heat of summer sunshine, I miss you like nobody else. In the heat of summer sunshine, I kiss you and nobody needs to know. Sunshine, sunshine.
Guller's Gaccan, brought to you by the Gaelic Broadcasting Committee.
John is in the basement mixing up the medicine. I'm on the pavement thinking about the government. The man in a trench coat, badge out, laid off, says he's got a bad cough, wants to get it paid off. Look out, kid, it's something you did. God knows when, but you're doing it again. You better duck down the alleyway looking for a new friend. The man in a coonskin cap in a pig pen wants $11 bills. You only got 10. Maggie comes fleet-foot, face full of black soot, talking at the heat, put plants in the bed, but the phone's tapped anyway. Maggie says the men say they must bust an early man. Orders from the DA. Look out, kid, don't matter what you did, but walk on your tiptoes, don't tie no bows. Better stay away from those that carry around a fire hose. Keep a clean nose, wash your plain clothes. You don't need a weatherman to know which way the wind blows. Oh, get sick, get well, hang around the inkwell, hang bell, hard to tell if anything is gonna sell. Try hard, get bought, get back, ride rail, get jail, jump bail, join the army if you fail. Look out, kid, you're gonna get hit by losers, cheaters, six-time users, hanging around the theaters. Girl by the whirlpools, looking for a new fool. Don't follow leaders or watch your parking meters. Oh, get born, keep warm, short pants, romance. Learn to dance, get dressed, get blessed. Try to be a success, please her, please him. Buy gifts, don't steal, don't live. 20 years of schooling and they put you on the day shift. Look out, kid, they keep it all hid. Better jump down a manhole, light yourself a candle. Don't wear sandals and try to avoid the scandals. Don't wanna be a bum, you better chew gum. The pump don't work cause the vandals took the handle.
Guller's Gaccan, brought to you by the Gaelic Broadcasting Committee.
And that, of course, is our cue for a Manx track. And there's no jigging about the kitchen table to this one. This is a beautiful song written by Bob Carswell. And on this occasion, it is sung by Ruth Kegan Gell. And this is Uisig-Vara. Uisig-Vara means seabird. And the song tells of the flight of this seabird and how the bird looks down at the damage, really, that we seem to be doing to the earth, pollution and rubbish being dumped everywhere. A sad, reflective song. Uisig-Vara by Bob Carswell, sung here by Ruth Kegan Gell.
Raden Jesus, raden us, o in stoute braaiacht, tad millione traia, ta mischilje ta ligana daia, toia no ta tragos skin scanstan chi, can scanstan chi a tra. Gaccan mae'ch ion, shiaghtin nan engagem, dion strachashnit, hanalat Cooish, atra.
Oisigvara there by Ruth Kegan and written by Bob Carswell. Beautiful piece of music that. Andrew Newton, we'll go back to the interview I did with Andrew, and this is all about his new videos that he's hoping to post on his YouTube channel, and this is the next instalment in the interview we did. And yes, I think this is going to catch on. There's some great historical Manx court cases, and this is going to be a great new thing for us all to look at on a dark winter's night.
I talk about this in the video. I mainly focus on the first part in the Calcott case. Who were the people involved? Why were they fighting this case? And I filmed the video throughout various locations in Castletown where various parties lived and where the parcel of land that was involved with the dispute was. And then I end up at the old House of Keys in the centre of Castletown for the end of the video, where I focus on the events after the case.
So effectively the Calcott land ended up being sold to Stevenson. This is a possibly, I should have said spoiler alert before I said all this. Yes, the Calcott land was sold to Stevenson, and then one of the Calcott descendants said, well, hang on, that shouldn't have happened. It should have been kept in the family and passed on to the next generation.
Yeah, I should say, I don't cover this in the video actually, but the Calcott who sold the land, Turner Calcott, who shouldn't, under this entail, this clause, this provision, sometimes like a trust provision, the land is held subject to this entail, which means that it has to be passed on to the next person within the family, or however it's directed. He ignored that entail and decided he would parcel up the land and sell it on. And it seems like Turner, from the records I've seen, he seems like a bit of a rogue, you might say. And there is record of him being penalised or punished, I think, by the Bishop of the Isle of Man, maybe for swearing on a Sunday or something of that effect.
Dear, we can't have things like that, can we?
And he had to pay a tithe as a result of that, and penance, and say he would never do such a thing again, or something to that effect. I don't cover that in the video, but I could see that he was a bit of a rogue, or the records suggest that, and he did sell on this land, and it was his son Arthur Colcutt who said, hold on, I've lost all this land that I would be entitled to in Castletown. I don't think it should have been sold by my father to Captain Stevenson of Balladule, and then brought this case, which turned out he lost on appeal. So he lost the first case, lost the second case, and there seems to be information to suggest that he had been offered a settlement to try to stop his case, and he ignored that on the advice of his lawyer, and that was much to the despair of the Stevensons and the Lord of Man.
And subsequently, yes, the House of Keys, Lord of Man, because if no win, no fee meant that the lawyer had a vested interest in the case carrying on as long as possible. So even when settlements were suggested, presumably the settlement would mean that the advocate wouldn't get any money.
Yeah, and the fair-mindedness of my side, I'd say that I think I've only seen one side of the argument, which is the Lord of Mag's argument, the Governor Patrick Lindsay's argument. The lawyer might legitimately say, well, I thought he had a good case, and he should have carried it on, and the settlement was not a good settlement for my client. Unfortunately, his records, Attorney Gill, they were known as attorneys at that time, his records I have unfortunately not been able to find in the Manx Museum or the Public Records Office. But certainly the Lord of Man's argument and the Governor's argument, Patrick Lindsay, is that the lawyer was foolish to reject the offer, and we should stop this happening again if in the future. We'll pass a law and we'll ban no-win, no-fee agreements, because it's really been a pain in the bottom for us.
And that was Andrew Newton. Time now for the Stereophonics, and they're going to have, they're telling us to have a nice day, which I think we ought to.
Guller's Gaccan, brought to you by the Gaelic Broadcasting Committee.
San Francisco Bay, past B39, early PM, can't remember what time. Got the waiting cab, stopped at the red light. Address I'm sure of, but it turned out just right. It started straight off, coming here as hell. That's his first words, we asked what he meant. He said, where you from? We told him a lot. We take a holiday, is this what you want? So have a nice day. Have a nice day. Have a nice day. Have a nice day. Lie around all day, have a drink to chase yourself and tourists, yeah, that's what I hate. He said we're going wrong, we've all become the same. We dress the same ways, only our accents change. So have a nice day. Have a nice day. Have a nice day. Have a nice day.
stereophonics there. Now, time to go back to the interview I did with Lisa Leo, and this was at the Poddencly in Ballabeg, in the Arbury Parish Hall in Ballabeg. And there were several children and parents, grandparents, childminders there, and they were all having a go, at least, at singing some of the songs which top and tail these bits of interviews.
Guller's Gaccan, brought to you by the Gaelic Broadcasting Committee.
And what kinds of things does it help with, in terms of young children learning a language?
So it's the language development, it's the listening skills that they have to use, it's acquiring that ability to listen and then copy the language, and they're just absorbing it. So when they're in the groups, it's kind of that immersive language learning which is how you would learn a language naturally. And it develops those skills so that when they come on to learn other languages, they're more sort of adapted to do that. They've got the skills in place.
And as far, the way we're talking now, it maybe sounds like it's actually hard work for children, but it isn't, is it? It's
not. I mean, they don't realise they're learning. It's all through play, it's through songs. So when we're doing the craft activities, we'll put a few Manx words in, and we never do it to a great extent. It's very sort of small, limited vocabulary, and we always tie it in with one of the songs. So that's what we're trying to do with the curriculum, is develop a content that can be built upon each week.
And it sounds like we've picked the wrong time, because there's a wagon or something outside loading up something or other. But yeah, what did you understand about Muinchevega before you put your application in for a job? I mean, had you heard of Muinchevega before?
I had heard of Muinchevega. I mean, I'd taken my own children to Muinchevega groups when they were younger, so I had heard about it. And, understanding the benefit of learning a language, it was something that was important. So I was absolutely delighted to be able to step into this role and promote the language.
And as a parent, what do you think your family got out of it?
I think attending a playgroup is a great way of socialising for children, but added on to that is the extra element that you're learning a language. And a Manx language, to me, we've got a unique opportunity here on our beautiful island. We've got a language that we need to celebrate and promote for children to continue.
And as far as your role is concerned, you're also, well, Muinchevega generally is keen to establish more of these Poddencly groups, but clearly you'll need help to do that.
Yes, we would like to open Poddencly in the Oncan Douglas area, but yes, we really do need volunteers who would be willing to come and help, and they would be fully supported to do this. And usually it would be a parent or grandparent that attends with their child, and it would just be helping to set up the group, helping to do the snacks, that kind of thing. So full training would be given, and all of the resources and the planning for the craft activities already done. So that side of it, which is quite time consuming, that's already been done.
And that was the interview, or part of the interview I'm doing, which is going to run throughout the programme, with Lisa Leo from Pothincly, and I hope you're joining in with some of those nice Manx rhymes, because if you remember, several years back we did have a go at teaching you some of those rhymes. Now it's time for Country Singer by Janet Devlin.
Back again, my heart's broke with his country song trope. Trucks, beer and football, thinks he's all a woman could need. But I ain't never gonna ride you no Jolene. I won't be loosely, just gonna make you leave. I'm not the kind of girl who's gonna keep your car. I'll just go downtown and gossip in your favorite bar. Lord knows I won't let it come. Tree singer. His biggest hit on the radio was for a busty little blonde that he cheated on. There's no hope for that country song trope. He thinks misogyny's the French three-way, or cutting his beard would make him gay. Can't cope for this country song trope. Trucks, beer and football, thinks he's all a woman could need. Oh please, I'm never gonna ride you no Jolene. I won't be loose sleep, just gonna make you leave. I'm not the kind of girl who's gonna keep your car. I'll just go downtown and gossip in your favorite bar. Lord knows I won't let it come. Tree singer. He's a washed up, used to be, still wants to be a star. Damn, he's wishing he could be like Jim LeBeau. Can never keep a girl, even his dog he ran away. I learned my lesson, yeah, he's never gonna change. Alright, bring it home. I ain't never gonna ride you no Jolene. I won't lead loosely, just gonna make you leave. I'm not the kind of girl who's gonna keep your car. I'll just go downtown and gossip in your favorite bar. Lord knows I won't let it go. Country singer. The Lord knows I won't let a country singer.
Guller's Gaccan, brought to you by the Gaelic Broadcasting Committee.
Radio Bannon.
Take the National Express when runs down the aisle back in '63. But it's hard to get by when your arse is the size of a small country. And everybody sings, yeah, all right, we're going where the air is tomorrow belongs to me. When you're sad and feeling blue with nothing better to do, don't just sit there feeling stressed. Take a trip on the National Express. On the National Express. Let's go.
And that was the National Comedy. The Divine Comedy with the National Express. There's a national comedy somewhere along here. Right, next we'll go back to the interview with Lisa Leo and Pathan Clay.
Done.
And we try, as far as we can anyway, to get a Manx speaker to come along to the sessions. It's not possible in all cases, but again, if there are any Manx speakers listening, even if you can only spare a couple of mornings, it would be great to have that level of support too.
Yeah, we would love that. I mean, to have a fluent Manx speaker would just give that extra opportunity for children to listen to those extended phrases. So, as I say, we do very basic phrases and we're using the Manx in the songs. But if we could have somebody here that would be able to offer that would be wonderful. Yindasak.
So if you're listening out there, Gaccan, Tagus, Pathan Clay, Misalj, come to the Pathan Clay. The Pathan Clay basically is the play group. And yeah, it's a fantastic thing, isn't it, for the language, for the Manx language, because effectively, in many cases, people coming, parents or childminders, grandparents bringing their children here to Pathan Clay, they're not necessarily doing it because of the Manx, are they?
No, I think they come because they want to bring their children to a playgroup and get all the benefits of that. But I think they are interested that it's got the Manx element as well, because it just gives it that little bit extra. So they're generally curious about it. And the great thing is we're very inclusive. It doesn't, you don't have to come here and there's no pressure for you to go on to learn Manx, although a lot of people do. They kind of get the bug for it and think, I'll explore that a little bit further, but there's absolutely no pressure. What we want to do is make sure people feel that they can come here and they can engage with a little bit of Manx and, do it in a fun and supportive environment.
And of course, for Manx, the benefit of this is that we basically find parents and families that perhaps wouldn't have naturally thought to sign their kids up to either Pathan Clay or Munjaveg, a nursery, or indeed the Bunskull Gaelg, or even just use Manx as a family and not sign up to any of the others. The fact is that we're getting more people interested in Manx.
Yeah, definitely. I think it's just having that general awareness, even if, the people that come here as you say, may not go on to attend a bun school, but they have that little bit of Manx, and so that when the children go on to school and they have the Manx peripatetic team coming in, they have that foundation. They have got some knowledge of Manx already. And again, if people want to explore it further, they can use that as a stepping stone.
And for you personally, why is the Manx language important?
I think we live on an island with its own language. To me, when I first moved over here 16 years ago, I found it fascinating that the language is here and that it's still alive. And I think everybody has a responsibility and, to make sure that this language is kept alive.
And of course, it's the world's first revitalised language, or it's the first language to have got that classification, which, it's quite special, isn't it?
It really is a special thing, and I think it's a gift that we can give our children. It's certainly something I was keen for my children to learn.
And of course, next year is the year of the Manx language. Any particular plans that Munjavega has for that?
So we've got a few events coming up next year. Again, we'll be sort of making sure that the songs and the games are kind of publicised more widely, really, to get the message out there.
And you're quite keen to get to speak with or to engage with other nurseries as well. It's not just about Munjavega, Podden Clays. It's also any other nurseries that are interested in learning a bit more. You're interested in hearing from them.
Yeah, absolutely. We're going to do a trial with Treetops Nursery in Laxey. So it's about us taking some of the songs and activities out to the nursery so that they can use them. Again, just to spread that knowledge and awareness out into the community.
Gormai mor io son Lordrun.
Shade of it.
And that was Lisa Leo there with Podden Clay. Next we have Chickatita by ABBA.
Chiquitita, tell me what's wrong. You're enchained by your own sorrow. In your eyes, there is no hope for tomorrow. How I hate to see you like this. There is no way you can deny it. I can see that you're all so sad, so quiet. Chiquitita, tell me the truth. I'm a shoulder you can cry on. Your best friend, I'm the one you must rely on. You were always sure of yourself. Now I see you broken if there's that. I hope we can patch it up together. Chiquitita, you and I know how the heartaches come and they go and the stars they're leaving. You will be dancing once again and the pain will end. You will have no time for breathing. Chiquitita, you and I cry, but the sun is still in the sky and shining above you. Let me hear you sing once more like you did before. Sing a new song, Chiquitita. Try once more like you did before. Sing a new song, Chiquitita. So the walls came tumbling down, and your love said no more dwindled. All is gone, and it seems too hard to handle. Chiquitita, tell me the truth. There is no way you can deny it. I see that you're oh so sad, so quiet. Chiquitita, you and I know how the heartaches come and they go and the scars they're leaving. You'll be dancing once again and the pain will end. You will have no time for breathing. Chiquitita, you and I cry, but the sun is still in the sky and shining above you. Let me hear you sing once more like you did before. Sing a new song, Chiquitita. Try once more like you did before. Sing a new song, Chiquitita. Try once more like you did before. Sing a new song, Chiquitita.
And that was, of course, Chiquitita by ABBA. Back now to the interview I did with Andrew Newton about his new podcast or YouTube video all about the Calcutt-Stevenson ancient Manx Law case. And this is the final part of the interview. I'm very much looking forward to seeing what else Andrew produces with these videos. They are rather good. And then going on in terms of the series, what else have you got planned?
Yeah, so I've got lots of ideas for videos that, as you opened this conversation with, it might be of niche interest or it might be of wider interest, maybe depending on the different videos. And you can find this channel on YouTube, Lay Maninak, and my name's Andrew Langer Newton. And the next video that I'm working on is about a case from the 1600s, 17th century, involving the land where King William's College was built, and that was a trust created by Bishop Barrow around about the 1660s, 1670s, and it seems to be one of the oldest trusts in the Isle of Man. I certainly haven't seen many other records suggesting earlier trusts, and Bishop Barrow came from England, so he was well versed in the concepts of trusts, and he settled this trust very important for the future education needs of the Isle of Man. So benevolent, you might say, altruistic. However, there is some records to suggest that the land that where this trust took over, so the land that was put into this trust by Bishop Barrow, had belonged to a family in the Isle of Man and was taken away from them, maybe some might suggest, by an abuse of power, expropriation. Gosh. Yeah. And involving a land court where Bishop Barrow played a key role in directing this and ultimately taking the land and putting it into trust. Now, that case I'm going to explore in the video and the history around that. And in the video, I'm also going to talk about, if that was to happen today, what tools might be available to beneficiaries of trusts to stop such things happening, or people who had their land taken away from them and put into trust. So I'm going to explore some kind of legal devices that may be available, but also kind of look at the history of that case, which when I read the history of it, I was very shocked by what had taken place.
And is your motivation for doing these things, as much as anything, to explain the history of Manx law? Is it to look into constitutional differences, or maybe mix of that and maybe other things?
Yeah, well, absolutely. And so I guess in principle, the videos are to explore this rich, unique history that we have in the Isle of Man that has been at the centrepiece of the British and Irish Isles, going back thousands of years. And so we have had the benefit of all the things going around us in Scotland, in Ireland, in England, in Wales, in Cornwall, and one historian from Cardiff University came over and did a presentation to the Antiquarians Association with something, and he said something which really captured my mind. And we might look back into the past thousands of years and think the Isle of Man was isolated, but actually the information suggests the Irish Sea was like a motorway between Ireland, between Wales, between Scotland, between the Isle of Man. And so we had all this rich culture, rich influence, and communities coming to the Isle of Man, bringing knowledge, and people leaving the Isle of Man and taking away knowledge. And so the video is really to capture and explore that and share that, because the value of knowledge is certainly sharing it. And so that's the aspiration behind it in my job and in my history. I'm an advocate. Obviously, these videos that I'm preparing are not legal advice, and I do state that I'm not providing legal advice. It's just commentary on my take on the history. Is to kind of document that for other people's interests, and hopefully kind of influence not only how we perceive the past, but then how we perceive the future of the Isle of Man as well, framed around this rich, unique history. And I'd really emphasise that unique aspect of, yes, people came to the Isle of Man, people brought ideas to the Isle of Man, but the Isle of Man has been a melting pot for those ideas, a great opportunity to explore them and develop them and frame them in the island context. And so that is definitely my motivation, and I've been thinking about doing a channel on this for some time, and then eventually in August having a conversation about the history of monasteries in the Isle of Man and how they were great medieval centres of learning, and then framing how do we learn today, and what is the institutions of learning today in the Isle of Man. And that conversation really inspired me to just seize the nettle, grasp the nettle, and just start this channel. And once it started, then I've got the ideas, and I can just go out into the community and listen to what people are interested in, and start documenting this rich history we have.
And the channel again, Lai Mananach, Manx Law, Leigh, and then Mananach, Manninagh.
Yes, I think something like Manninagh, if I got that right, in that.
Man in. Yeah, anyway,
well, I'm not doing very well.
I'm sure if you get lay in Leigh, you'll be getting there. And if not, send me a message, philgorn@manxradio.com, and I'll send you the link. Anyway, thank you very much. Gurumai Mores, Andrew.
Shade of A, Gurumai, Phil.
Yendasach. And that's the final part of the interview with Andrew Newton. Hopefully he'll come back and tell us about his future videos. Next, Robin Hugh Bowen with Hen Elud. That was Robin Hewbowen with Hen Elwood. Elwood? I'm not very good at me Welsh. I've started learning a bit of Welsh on Duolingo. So hopefully in future years I'll be a little bit more knowledgeable. Right, back to the interview with, well, actually this time it's Duan Christian from Munjavega, who he's the Munjavega, what's he called? Community Engagement Officer, that's the boy. Talking to Duan Christian, and you are, well, you tell us, what's your role now?
I'm a project officer for Munjavega, so I look after a little bit of fundraising, some of the events and some of the public engagement for the charity.
And what is Munjavega? Why does it need funding?
So Munjavega is the charity set up by Phil Goll in 1996 on the back of a language revival. That revival's still going strong. We believe that the Manx language is important for everybody. Doesn't matter where you're from. It's part of our culture. It's everywhere we go on the Isle of Man. We just want to really engage with people and get people to get involved and learn a little bit. It doesn't have to be the language. It can be place names. It can be sayings. It can be things we do every day. It's all around us. So it's just useful for even us as Manx people to learn a little bit more about where we are.
And the funding question then, because Munjavega obviously supports the Bunscoil Gaelg, the Manx language school. It runs a nursery, but you'd imagine those are already funded. What else does Munjavega do, and why does it need support?
So we've got Pot and Cloy, which is our play groups, which we have in Arbury, we have in St John's. We're about to launch one in Onken, hopefully, and there's one in Ramsey. These all need to be supported through fundraising for our assets. The guys that go and run the sessions, they need materials. We need materials as project officers to be able to spread the news of the language. So we like to make some videos. We like to do podcasts. We've got podcasts with Bunscoil teacher Adrian Kane. All of these things we need materials. We need places to go and do these things. There's higher fees. There's all sorts of costs that come with running a charity, no matter how low scale it is. So there's all sorts of things that need to be paid for.
And if anyone's listening to this and thinking to themselves, well, I don't know, why would I need to bother with learning Manx? What would you say to them?
Well, it's not just about learning Manx when it comes to an individual. People learn languages all the time. I feel that learning Manx on the Isle of Man is probably a lot more useful than people think it is. You know, like you say, it's all around us. There's house names, there's street names. It's in the landscape. So learning the language helps you understand a little bit more about where you live. But learning Manx as opposed to learning French and Spanish, it does the same thing. It expands your brain. And like I mean, Phil, you know that I've been learning for a while now. And I do learn. I have my lessons on Tuesday with Ruth, and I feel so good when I come out of the lessons because it's learning a language, any language, isn't easy. So the sense of real accomplishment and achievement you get out of learning something like any language, it just makes you feel really good. So, you know, but some people would say, well, you know, why I would rather learn French or Spanish or. I'd say no, just learn Manx because you are going to use it, and you will use it in the shops. You'll use it when you bump into friends. You use it when you're most of the time telling people where you live. So it's just fun. It's good crack.
And of course, you will have, I suppose, by now come across that kind of general view from some Manx people that, well, I'm Manx anyway, and I don't need to speak a language to prove it.
Well, I mean, I suppose really you don't. I mean, there is zero pressure when it comes to learning a language. Most people will learn a language because they want to, not because they have to. And it might just be a certain point in your life where you think, well, you know, actually, I fancy learning myself a bit of that. And we're definitely not. We're not questioning anybody's nationality at all. What we would like to see is just people give it a go.
Gaccan, brought to you by the Gaelic Broadcasting Committee.
Radio Banner.
And that is our cue for a Manx track, and we're going for Skeel with Hiding in the Woods.
Gaccan, brought to you by the Gaelic Broadcasting Committee.
Most of the easy entry-level stuff, everybody knows. I'd love it if I walked into the co-op and somebody asked me how I was. Someone just dropped a little kiss star in there without me prompting them. I would be over the moon. And these are the things that most people know, aren't they? I mean, how long have you been speaking for? I mean, how often do you get to use it in the community outside your house? Wouldn't it be wonderful if you're walking down the street, you got a faster my? It grows from there. Before you know it, you're asking people where they live and if they're going on holiday next week.
And of course, next year we've got the golden opportunity because it's the year of the Manx language. And it is relatively straightforward for Manx speakers to use a little bit of Manx here and there. And, I'm probably as guilty as many in that I don't automatically say Moramai and Fastamai to people that I've just met on the street that I don't know whether they speak the language or not. I always speak Manx to the people who I know are Manx speakers, but maybe we do need to be a bit bolder, and because there can't be many people in the Isle of Man that don't know what Moramai and Fastamai mean.
Well, exactly. So even when I'm sending emails, I sent an email this morning to Ellen Van and Fuels. Sorry, that's not a plug. There's plenty of other fuel outlets there. And my email back was Fastamai, June, and I didn't prompt it, but people, I don't know whether people are expecting it from me or whichever. I mean, I don't know Tracy from Ellen Van and Fuels, but it's just nice. It's more about maybe normalising it, because that person that you drop a quick kiss-ow on might be desperate to use a little bit that they have as well, because that happens to me an awful lot. I'll see somebody who I know speaks, and maybe I'm a little bit more nervous speaking to them than perhaps I would be a stranger, because there have been times, just like in that email, where I've been out for a run or a walk and I've dropped a Moramai, and that person's given me a really cheerful Moramai back because they were just as happy, or you just get a hello. But they know what you're saying, so it's just normalising it, I think, is probably really, really, really easy, because, it's a beautiful language at the end of the day.
And for people who are interested, even just vaguely interested in either learning the language or indeed supporting Munja Vega, what would you say the next steps are?
There's so many resources out there online on Learn Manx, and via Culture Vannin or Munja Vega or anywhere online. Facebook, it's probably harder to avoid it if you live on the Isle of Man and you follow any of the news and politics pages or whichever. But there's lessons that I think are very, very popular. You do have to be quick, that are run by Ruth, and I think Paul Rogers does online lessons, doesn't he? So there are loads of opportunities.
And those are Culture Vannin ones.
They're Culture Vannin, but it's all the same. We're all the same mission. And then me and Adrian also have our Cray Reno Jew podcast, which is, I think it's probably perfect for somebody who's thinking about it, because it just, we do try to keep it like maybe 70% English with a little bit of, there's lots of stories and a little bit of a few fun jovial anecdotes in there, but it's mostly about practical, really easy Gaelg to use, and the feedback that we've had from it is really positive. So,
and that was the second part of the interview with June Christian, who is Munja Vega's Community Engagement Officer, which is a rather exciting sounding title, I think. Blondie's next with Heart of Glass.
Don't you mistrust, love's gone.
Blondie. Next, the final part of the interview with June Christian, Munjavega's Community Engagement Officer.
Yeah, it's everywhere. You can find it, and it's there's conversational groups that go on in Greens, I think, more often than not. So it does take a bit of a deep breath and a bit of confidence to go and learn something new, but it's so rewarding when you do get to a certain point.
And as far as volunteers or supporters of Munjavega, I mean, there's a whole range of options available, isn't there? I mean, obviously, it would be great if fluent Manx speakers were able to volunteer some time to assist, particularly with the nursery and the school, but more particularly the playgroups, the Pod and Clay. But how else can people help or support Munjavega?
So we have got a series of events coming up, some cultural exchanges, which we will be looking for some volunteers. As you say, Lisa that runs the Pod and Clay would love to see more people coming through, even if they don't have to. You don't have to be a fluent speaker. You don't really. You can learn Manx on the go for an awful lot of these opportunities. For any help coming forward with volunteers, reach out to me at projects@munjavega.org.im, and we will find something for people to do. We have stores on Tynwald Day. We have lots of events all year round where people can get involved, and people don't have to worry about their level of Manx. If you're fluent, absolutely brilliant. If you just want to learn and get immersed in a bit of Manx culture as well, equally as helpful. It's just about spreading the word more than anything else and breaking down some barriers.
And of course, even if you don't want to physically volunteer and get involved in that way, there's also Cúirgin Munjavega, the Friends of Munjavega.
You can join up on the Munjavega website for that, where you'll get offers of early access to some prize draws that we run. We're looking to run the next prize draw hopefully before Christmas. We've just run a successful prize draw with like £900 worth of prizes from the very generous business community in the Isle of Man that was won a couple of weeks ago. So yeah, any help anywhere is welcomed.
Well, I hope you've enjoyed listening to Guller's Gaccan this week and the various interviews. We're going to finish with a beautiful piece of music, Irina Grania by Barul. Bobby Bob's up next with Claire na Gael.